CSM365 College Breakdown, CFB Blitz. I'm your host, Jay's Perspective, and this is the breakdown. Yesterday was an exceptional day of football. So much to get to, so much to break down, so much to talk about. So, as we get ready for our Sunday Funday NFL Blitz, I said I was going to make sure that I got your Saturday football blitz breakdown to you before we even got to this. So, as college football brought us so much good stuff, it brought us upsets, it brought us a changing of the landscape, it brought us an opportunity to see a push. Week number 7, as we get ready for week 6 of the NFL today. Week 7 of the NFL. Week 7. Guys, pardon me. I'm everywhere this morning. Got my coffee with me. But the breakdown for the day from yesterday. Let's just go over here and just get this thing started. It was epic. Let's get started. All right. Hold on. All right. Listen. Started Wednesday. Missouri, Middle Tennessee. Now, I know Conference USA wasn't really, we really didn't expect much. Liberty, UTEP, nothing. It just warmed us up for Thursday. Really wasn't nothing there. Tulane was there. Nothing really here Thursday. Friday, Rutgers and Washington. Washington now set the tone because now Washington has to go to Michigan. Keep this in mind. Michigan loses to USC last night. And if you pay attention behind me, yeah, right here, yeah, broke my heart last night. I was all on the stream. I wasn't crying. I was just in my feelings. Now, last night, Fresno State, Colorado State. Colorado State just went straight through it. And now we're starting to see the teams that took off late, 2-4, knocking 5-2, 49-21. Then we get to Saturday. And boy, did the walls open up. Did the walls open up? Wait, before look, I got ESPN. Hold on. All right, ESPN. Before we even start, let me just share this one. Matter of fact, we got CBS. Hold on, wait. Before we even.
To 1 for 11 on third down, which means Texas A&M has held its first 3 SEC opponents to 2 for 34 on third down conversions. Cardale, your reaction to yet another Aggies victory as they improved to 6-0.
This was good work.
Before the show, we talked about it. This Aggies defense is the real deal. But this was their first real test in conference. Florida got a lot of momentum coming off that big win versus Texas last week. Offense looked really good. And they started this game off hot, having 2 really good drives and then touchdowns. But 1 for 11 on third down, you're not going to win many games, especially in this wide open, competitive, tough SEC conference.
I thought you saw at the end of the game Texas A&M assert their will. They held the ball, played keep away, looked like they were playing a 4-minute offense with like 8 or 9 minutes left in the game, and they killed the game, quite frankly. That's Texas A&M's physical advantage. That's the program Mike Elko wants to build into a brutal monster in College Station. He says enough with the battered Aggie syndrome. He wants this team and this fan base and the culture in College Station to hold their heads high and purport themselves like winners.
Yeah, and they're certainly winners. 15 straight home wins against an unranked team. Their loss that kind was in 2022 to Florida, and they beat them on this night once again. It was a struggle for Georgia in the Deep South's oldest rivalry against Auburn, but man, they turn it on in the second half. And look, Cardale, Gunnar Stockton, I mean, that was a big-time moment, leading them on a 16-play, 78-yard drive that chewed up nearly 9 minutes of clock to seal the game. That was an impressive drive. What did you see?
And another thing, talking about at the beginning of this game, we talked about ourselves. What play drive, guys? 16 plays.
It's incredible.
Unbelievable what was asked of him in that Georgia offense that last drive, because Auburn, the Tigers defense, all night was playing aggressive, was playing hungry, and they was making Georgia earn every inch that they got tonight.
I think that the momentum definitely swung on the Jackson Arnold fumble down there at the goal line, where Georgia punches it out and is able to negate. Auburn looked like they were going in there to go up 17-0 right before halftime. I thought that was obviously the biggest play in the game. And then Georgia really grabbed that game by the scruff of the neck in the second half and asserted their dominance in this game. And they go 9 in a row against Auburn.
Yeah, and they've won all 9 in a row by more than 7 points, which for a minute there, you're like, I don't know if they're going to win this game at all. And they do. And now they win another one, which means 45 straight games in terms of victories over an unranked opponent. Their last loss was in 2019. All right, let's move to the Big Ten. Michigan goes to the LA Coliseum for just the second time ever. The Trojans put up 489 yards of total offense, hang 31 on the scoreboard, and an interesting moment in the final moments here. Brian Jackson scored the Trojans' final touchdown of the game. He was listed as out on the availability report. Richard, could this be a problem?
Yeah, we'll see how this hashes out in the end. Lincoln Riley said after the game that USC was in contact with the league office and the program's medical team cleared Brian Jackson. He had a turf toe injury he's been dealing with for the last few weeks. We will see what the Big Ten says about that. I've reached out to the Big Ten for a statement. They are yet to respond. Obviously, they have sort of an investigative process that they go through after something like this. That they go through after something like this happens, where they got to talk to the multiple parties involved and then kind of report to us what they find out. So we'll see. But yes, definitely a funky moment there in that game right there.
Cardale, as for the game, impressed by USC's quarterback.
Oh, for sure. But does that really matter? King Miller had over almost 200 yards rushing on the ground, 2 touchdowns, career day for that young man. But yeah, I get it. That is always the tricky part when you talk about injuries and want to make.
All right, now guys, I want to talk about this. King Miller had Michigan's defense had no answer for King Miller. The guy ran over the Wolverine defense. He powered over the Wolverine defense. 3rd and a mile. Penalty yards at that. 3rd and about 20-something miles to go. King Miller takes the ball and gets 49 yards. Gets about 4 yards on the next drive. Then takes it to the outside for 15 yards for a touchdown. Stings. But USC ran the ball all over Michigan last night. That's not an indication of success when you're trying to stop to talk about you cannot win. And what I've seen from Michigan when they lost to Oklahoma is you can't stop the run. You can be stopped, but you can't stop the run. USC held them to 13 points. 13 points. They were held to 13 points. USC had their way. Penalties normally change the game, but in this case, penalties didn't even affect USC in this game. They didn't. Back to the game.
Make sure that you are being held to a high standard of reporting the right information to give your opponent a chance to make adjustments. But Jaden Mayava, what a great game he had. And I want to talk about it. 285 passing yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. And usually I'm not big on talking about interceptions, but uncharacteristic throw that he tried to make kind of going in the red zone. But the big thing about playing the quarterback position, you got to have short-term memory. The very next drive, he took the team down and they scored a touchdown. That shows growth, that shows leadership, and he just had that it factor that really gives that offense that kind of give them that edge and really bring a different dynamic that this USC team haven't had since Caleb Williams.
All right, time now for When It Works, presented by UKG, showcasing how effort and preparation works. Shine the spotlight on a player or a play that contributed to USC's victory over Michigan. And look, we heard a little chirping from Sharon Moore saying, hey, they're sold out because Michigan's coming to town. And then Lincoln Riley says, we're going to go play the game. And boy, did they go play the game. Was there a play or a player that really you want to shine the spotlight on here?
Well, we joked about Brian Jackson, obviously, kind of playing in this game. Maybe when he shouldn't, he gets a long touchdown there to score. I thought it was huge for USC to win the game like this on the ground, obviously with King Miller and Brian Jackson. The fact that they were able to do that in this spot with explosive run plays, right? I expected Michigan to really try to drag the pace of this game to a halt and try to kind of take USC into some deep waters that maybe they didn't want to go physically, but they proved that they were ready, willing, and able to handle the task there. So that two-headed monster at running back there for me, for sure, with Michigan.
I got to go
with USC. I'm sorry.
I got to go with the guy who leads the charge with Jaden Mayava. He's a guy that keeps this offense, this team calm, cool, and collective, definitely with his personality, period, as a person. And he just keeps, no matter what, USC, whatever situation, and you look back at the Illinois loss, long as they got him cool and level-headed, they feel like they got a chance. And he gave them guys a chance today, ultimately came up with a win.
USC, fewest points allowed versus a ranked team since 2016. USC about to be ranked when the new poll comes out on Sunday. CBS Sports HQ presented by UKG. Winners and losers from Ohio State national champion Cardale Jones and CBS Sports college football insider Richard Johnson. Richard, what are your takeaways from this massive win for Curt Cignetti and the Hoosiers?
Indiana is for real, and Indiana has leveled up.
Hoosiers,
Indiana,
they lose
to Ohio State and Notre Dame last year, obviously in big spots. They come back this game, big spot. Eyes of the college football world upon them, and they show that they are ready for prime time. They flat out played Oregon in this game. If Oregon doesn't get the pick six, might even have been worse on the final score. They used 2 weeks to really show their class. I think Fernando Mendoza at quarterback for them is such a good add. He's playing
to go on
if not the best football in college football right now at a quarterback position, pretty darn close.
Dante Moore tossed 2 fourth-quarter interceptions. Fernando Mendoza threw his first pick six, but responded with a touchdown drive, winning the battle of Heisman favorites here, Cardale. Indiana does not have to face Ohio State in the regular season. Do you think the Hoosiers can run the table in the regular season, led by Fernando Mendoza?
Yeah, you look at the remaining schedule. I mean, right now in UCLA, no one really want to play them right now because they've been good the last couple of weeks. But and then the Penn State as well. I mean, they're struggling right now. Just lost their starting quarterback Drew Aller for the season. I definitely think they can rattle off the rest of the season, going 12-0 and coasting their way into the Big Ten championship game. And clearly, once all bets are off there, once you're kind of in that conference championship game, you're preparing for the college football playoffs. All of that is led by Fernando Mendoza because the way he's playing right now. And like I said earlier, at the quarterback position, you got to have a short-term memory. Throws the pick six and lead the team literally the next drive on a touchdown drive.
Indiana, a big winner on the day. Also a big winner in the SEC. Number 8 Alabama finds a way to beat number 14 Missouri 27-24. Crimson Tide defeated an AP-ranked opponent for the third week.
Alabama's
Unfortunately, leading rusher Jam Miller got hurt in the fourth quarter and is in concussion protocol, something we will monitor. Richard, what have you learned about Alabama since their only loss of the season in week 1 to Florida State?
Well, I've learned that
if you're a
loss
Penn State
is not
Nittany
what this
Lions
Alabama
fan
team
right now,
is. Yes, it's a thing that happened when we get to college football playoff time.
absolutely
We start comparing resumes. It's certainly going to show up.
determined.
But I don't hold them
waking up this
to the
morning,
standard that they
like,
showed in
I'm
that
going
game. I
for
hold them
somebody else.
to what I've seen over the last few weeks. I think Ty Simpson is playing like an absolute Heisman candidate at quarterback. He is accurate. He is on time. He throws over the middle. He's not afraid to tuck it and run as well. We will see what happens to this Alabama offense without Jam Miller. That's not nothing. I do want to make that point clear. The running back who should be behind Jam Miller, Justice Haynes, plays at Michigan right now. So we're going to have to figure it out with the run game for Alabama. But other than that, this Bama team is playing at such a high level right now, firing on all cylinders, paying good on the promise that we did not see week 1.
Yeah, and the most interesting part about this Alabama team, the difference maker, is first-year quarterback Ty Simpson versus the returning sophomore phenom with Ryan Williams. I think long as Ty Simpson is healthy of this team, they got a chance versus anybody in the country right now. Jam Miller is clearly critical to that offense and that running game, but Alabama is getting back to the Alabama that is on a national level, competing at a high level. And the cool thing about this Alabama team, I'm still out. The jury is still out on this team. I don't think we saw their best yet.
Yeah, I love the fact that Kalen DeBoer can just go, shh, calm down, everybody.
Black hoodie, Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, right? Like
Black hoodie, Kalen
DeBoer. Don't mess with the black hoodie.
Black hoodie,
Next week,
Kalen
third Saturday
DeBoer
in October, Alabama renews its rivalry against Tennessee. All right, now let's get your biggest winner from Saturday. Go anywhere in the country. Richard, who else stood out to you?
I'm going to go, my biggest winner for the day, I'm going to take you to Pitt and talk about Desmond Reed.
Okay.
Desmond Reed, all-purpose athlete for the Pittsburgh Panthers. He's listed as a running back, and yet 8 catches for 155 yards today. Helped Mason Heischel, the freshman quarterback, come in this game and beat Florida State in Tallahassee. Desmond Reed has been a tremendous all-purpose player with offensive coordinator Cade Bell, came over from Western Carolina and has been tremendous for Pitt and was tremendous for them to get back and help them get the victory today in Tallahassee.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I got to go with Texas Tech. My guy, Cameron Dickey, rushed for 263 yards, 2 touchdowns. What helps a quarterback, especially an offense, when you have injuries at quarterback or quarterback play that's not just playing well, it always is a safety blanket where you can turn around and hand the ball off to a guy for 21 carries and go over for 250. Definitely my biggest winner of the week, Cameron Dickey, Texas Tech.
6th straight win by 20 points for the first time since 1932. That's an expensive roster, and they are winning, and they're showing up. That's all that matters, right? All right, from the biggest winner to the biggest loser, and for the second week in a row, it's Penn State. Last week lost to UCLA. This week, the Nittany Lions lose to Northwestern, $1 million to buy out James Franklin.
No, I do not think that I don't think they got that much money in the kitty, but I do think they may have to make substantive changes potentially on the offensive side of the ball to figure out something, because you redid the entire wide receiver room. You brought Drew Aller back for another year. Obviously, Aller's now out for the season. You had that running back room, Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, who were supposed to be so good, but this offense it's never really been able to get out of first gear much this season. And that just can't happen. I think Andy Kotelnicki is a great offensive coordinator, but he has not been able to jumpstart this Penn State offense the last couple of years.
Penn State offense takes off.
Did you know that nearly half of U.S. TV streaming time is on Roku? With Roku's new self-service ad tool, it's easy to set up your own CTV campaigns. So you can tap into Roku's leading scale.
And then when they do get into some kind
I'm
of
sort of
rhythm,
confused about
already
Jim Knowles and what he did at Ohio State. I guess different personnel, Cardale. That's what it comes down to as well at Ohio State compared to Penn State. I'm not trying to knock Penn State, but look, when you bring a guy over like him and you're going to pay him all that money, you better be able to shut down some teams that are not upper echelon teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, the expectation is extremely high when you talk about Penn State, you talk about Jim Knowles and the contract that they presented for him and been able to take him away from Ohio State, especially after winning a national championship. And the expectations have not been lived up to on that defensive side of the ball. But when you talk about the biggest losers of the week, Penn State, not just on the scoreboard, but once again, losing your starting quarterback, your leader, your alpha dog, and within that program. I mean, that Oregon loss is continuing to have a lingering effect on this program, and I don't know if it just started with James Franklin.
Right behind
it's a whole bunch of issues going on with Penn State right now.
How would you explain that? when they go from losing in double overtime to Oregon to what's transpired over the last 2 weeks for Penn State?
Well, James Franklin said after the Oregon game, the week after the Oregon game, that he didn't want that Oregon loss to beat his team twice. Well, it beat him twice against UCLA, and now it's beaten him 3 times. They have just been unable to mentally respond and come back from that adversity. And now my thing is with Penn State, now the top line goals for this Penn State team are over. Not going to the Big Ten championship game, not going to the college football playoff. That's done, out the window. So what does this team do from here? What pride do Penn State players have moving on from here? You've got a lot of guys who are very talented and are going to play on Sundays. Are those guys going to fold in the tent now and maybe shut it down, maybe try to protect draft stock, or are they going to play with pride and try to, for instance, spring an upset against Indiana later in the season? Look, easier said than done because they're not going to have Drew Aller. But the measure of Penn State truly is now going to be moving on the rest of their season.
Yeah, and how you respond to the adversity you dealt with right here in your face. It's the biggest moment of the season because they still have not just Indiana, but Ohio State. And I think both games are on the road. So this can be a turning point for their program heading into the offseason, but this also can go the complete opposite way.
Preseason, Penn State was number 2 in the country preseason. That's why some people don't pay attention to preseason rankings. Texas was number 1, and they have bounced back. But Penn State, unfortunately, has not. Penn State is the first FBS team in the past 30 years to lose consecutive games outright as a 20-point favorite. It's bad, right?
All right. You heard what they said. Now, I heart my bad news on Penn State. I have. And rightfully so. Penn State has not lived up to the hype. Neither have my Wolverines lived up to the hype at all. That's why we do the breakdown review, because this is horrible for some teams. Let's just get to this point right here. Let's go over here. All right, like I started out. Oh, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Ohio State keeps their little track record going, number 1. Illinois came in, didn't even touch them. Didn't even scratch. Didn't even do anything. They didn't even have a fight. 3 takeaways. They took the ball away, 21 points. They beat Illinois. Illinois, number 17, didn't even look like 17 going against number 1. 34-16. Illinois, they showed up. Then we get to number 7, Indiana and Oregon. They get to Eugene. They picked the Ducks. I had the Ducks. I thought the Ducks was going to pull one off. I knew the Ducks was going to pull one off. But look, 30-20. Mendoza got in that pocket, and my boy went 20 or 31 for 215 and a tutty. He stood there, and they faced it, and they found the way to win. This one was a shocker because they almost lost, and honestly, they're 1 game away. Ole Miss, number 4. They're coasting. 24-21. Not really a good look. Not a good look. All right. He was 20 and 29, 253, 2 touchdowns on the day. Lacey was 24 carries for 142. And it was 24-21. A&M, 34-17. They pulled away from Florida. Florida is in trouble. They beat Texas last week. They did enough to save their coach's job. They did enough to look like we're not that horrible. But the truth is, you really are. Oklahoma, the Red River rivalry, went off like expected. Started off with defense. Arch Manning was overshadowed by Meteor, who is all the talk of the thumb, right? The thumb. 20 of 38 for 202, 3 interceptions. He shouldn't have played the game. If you had the question marks, and look at the score, 23-6. Oklahoma loses to Texas. This was not a game where Texas was going to lose. It wasn't. Oklahoma, number 6, falls to unranked Texas. Texas makes a case why they should be reevaluated. Alabama takes a road trip to Columbus, Missouri, and they come out 3-point victors the third week in a row, and they handle business. Simpson looks good, 23 of 31, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. He is making a case why he should be looked at as a Heisman candidate. Alabama is looked at as why this program should be put back on the national spotlight. And they're rolling, tide rolling. Kansas, Texas Tech. We thought when you watch Sports Center and highlights, you see Kansas. Whoa, Kansas came and did something. Well, Texas Tech Red Raiders, number 9, took care of that 42-17. Georgia and Auburn, it was a ugly game. Ugly game. Gunnar Stockton, 24, 37, 217. Ugly game. 20-10. Auburn had the lead, gave it up. Georgia Bulldogs roll. After the Alabama loss, Georgia has been making sure that they stay in control of what they can be in control of. South Carolina takes the trip to the boot. That's all they did was take a trip. I hope they got some food while they was down here in Louisiana, because that's all they came down here was for a trip. LSU offense could use a better effectiveness, if I can find a better way of putting it, because it started slow, and it should be more points than 20-10. Honestly, if you watch the game, and Nussmeier, 20 of 33, 254, 2 touchdowns. Full of 7 carries for 83 yards and a touchdown. The tight end was 8 receptions for 119 and a tutty. LSU offense got better, but is it really better? They win. Number 11 wins 20-10 over South Carolina, unranked South Carolina. Arkansas, they hung in there with Tennessee, number 12. The Volunteers pull it out, 34-31. I'm shocked as well, guys. I didn't believe Arkansas could pull off 31 after getting mollywopped by Notre Dame and after getting beat by other teams. Arkansas sure enough shocked me. Now, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is for real. I'm believing in them. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, 35-20. And then we get to this. This made no sense. It was all USC. King Miller. He nearly, look what they say, freshman walk-on King Miller rushed for 158 yards and a touchdown as they 31-13 victory over number 15 Michigan. They just stripped Michigan of any top 25 ranking. The Wolverines got embarrassed on primetime football by USC after making a statement about selling out the statement. After selling out the statement, you're selling out what? Selling out nothing. Selling out to lose. You're not opening the playbook up enough for your young quarterback to showcase the talent, nor get the receivers, the big receivers that you have, showcase the talent on the offensive side of the ball that we have. You're not doing that. 13 points is unacceptable. And Sharon, I really do love Coach Sharon. I appreciate who he is. However, 31-13 is not the Michigan way, and I do not, do not, do not, do not wake up this morning and condone this. And it still go blue. But USC to land a 31-13 roasting on the Wolverines. After this made Mavia 25 of 32, 265, 2 touchdowns. He had his way. 18 carries, one for 158 and a touchdown. He ran. Marsh was the best receiver we had, and they was not utilizing that. 8 receptions, 138 and a touchdown. He should have had more than that. Instead of going for the 2, kick the field goal, get us right back in the game. No, we go for the 2. Young man overthrows it. He sells it. Anyway, we're going to harp on that a little longer, a little more. NC State, Notre Dame. Notre Dame ran away with this like they do all the other games. Number 16, Notre Dame pulls away in the second half for their 4th consecutive win. BYU did their damnedest to make sure that they came away with a overtime win, 33-27, as they upstage Arizona in the desert. And then Arizona State, they just fell apart. Sims did not look good at all. Their offense looked bland. It did not look like, it looked like the Michigan Wolverines with USC. It looked like nursing home food. Iowa State and Colorado. Now, Deion was back from his procedure. He said he was coming back. He was back. And Colorado Buffaloes were back as they upset Iowa State. Students storming the field. That is what I would love to see in Southern California. But unfortunately, Colorado gets the 24-17 win. Pittsburgh upsets Florida State in Tallahassee. We thought Florida State was going to shake back after the Miami loss. We like, well, they lost, so now they can get together. Well, they're at 3-3. They're at the fork in the road, 0-3 in the ACC. They're now at that. What are we doing here? Where are we going? UCLA, Michigan. UCLA, after beating Penn State, now are taking opponents and crumbling them. 38-13. They take Michigan State and just have their way. Stanford, SMU. SMU shocked us all with their win. Stanford, what's going on? UCF and Cincinnati. Cincinnati last week bombed on, who was that they beat last week? Oh my goodness, Cincinnati. But they get a 2011 win over UCF. I was shocked too. Houston and Oklahoma State. Houston finally finds some kind of rhythm, and they get a win, 39-17. Louisiana Raging Cajuns and James Madison, of course, James Madison gets a 24-14. Army over Charlotte. Miami, Ohio over Akron. Bowling Green 28-23. Eastern Michigan beats Northern Illinois. Kent State, they gets a dub 42-6 over Massachusetts. Northwestern. Now, this is the shocker right here for people who don't understand. Penn State loses the whiteout to Oregon. Then they go on the road to UCLA. They lose to UCLA. After UCLA, they play Northwestern, a game you are supposed to win. They lose. It's their third loss of the season. You're like, wait, they lost again? Yes, they lost the third game. Penn State is now on a 3-game skid. It is the third skid, and they lose to Northwestern. So now Penn State is 0-3 in the Big Ten, 3-3. Northwestern is 4-2, 2-1 in the Big Ten. Crazy how things dramatically change. Nebraska pulls off a 3-point win over Maryland. After being down, they upset. Wake Forest gets a dub over Oregon State. Finally, Wake Forest looking decent. TCU with a loss to Kansas State. Air Force loses to UNLV. Go Running Rebels. The first time they've been 6-0 since 1970. Yep, 1970. The first time UNLV Running Rebels have been undefeated. 6-0. Crazy work right now. Air Force takes the loss. App State beats Georgia State. Then we have Marshall beating Old Dominion, Ball State, and Western Michigan. Western Michigan getting the blank 42-0. These are teams that when they play these big schools, they get blanked. So it feels decent when you look at them now blanking other schools, right? Navy gets the dub by 1 point over Temple. UAB and Florida Atlantic 53. Florida Atlantic over UAB. Iowa 37-0 over Wisconsin. Wisconsin, who Michigan beat, will get beat by Iowa. And now we have to start wondering, is Wisconsin in San Jose State gets beat by Wyoming. UL Monroe loses to Coastal Carolina. Purdue loses to Minnesota 27-20. Clemson with the 41-10 over Boston College. UTSA 61-13 over Rice. And Troy 48-41. And we got Boise State 41-25 over New Mexico. San Diego State 44-10 over Nevada. And then Hawaii closed us out last night with a 44-26 win over Utah State. Now, I'm not going to lie. That game, I just turned it on because it was already getting to the end of it. And it was like Hawaii already running away with it. And they look, from what I've seen from Hawaii, the games I've caught, because they're always the last game of the college night, Hawaii looks good. Hawaii pulls off some dramatic flares. Now, I've seen a couple where they've like played Fresno and Fresno give them a run for their money. But other than that, Hawaii, I wouldn't be shocked. Bowl eligible. Definitely looks good. So, guys, if anything, this college weekend has truly turned things upside down for a lot of teams. My Wolverines, I am highly pissed off this morning after watching the performance that you put up. It is disgusting. But we're going to worry about that next week because we have Washington coming to town. And Demond Williams Jr. is a specimen of. He's a fine athlete that, damn, I can only imagine if USC had fun, what this is going to look like. And if we don't get something going, it's going to be a long down road. So, guys, we have NFL football, Sunday Fun Day, NFL Blitz coming up today. We have the previews to come through, so stay tuned, stay clutch. This has been your CSM365 College Football Breakdown. I'm Jay's Perspective. Stay tuned, stay clutch. I'll be back with the NFL Sunday Fun Day Blitz. Stay tuned, stay clutch. Holla. Yeety. Mm-mm. 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 Country road, take me home.